Um, so for those of you that don't know, Ross, what's your last name, Ross? I don't know your last name.
Stout.
Stout is new with us, just joined us recently, and is an amazing lead conversion guy, also, just like some of us on here. So we thought we'd have him on here today to help bring the fire for all of our agents. So we'll
Yeah,
give
thanks for having
another,
me on, guys.
yeah, of course. Give it another couple minutes to get people on, and we'll go. Matt, I worked really hard on trying to get my shine from my light directly the same spot as your shine on your light. There it is. I think I got
Just got out of the
it.
shower, so it's my fault. I don't have anybody here to do makeup for me, so
Welcome
maybe
aboard,
it's there.
Tracy. Yeah, that's we got Tracy Fellows is new under Rich. Welcome aboard, Trace. Um, let me make sure we're getting everybody here. So we'll go ahead and get rolling just because we're getting rolling. We're gonna start with Brian because I know I left out Brian and Randy, and I know Randy's not coming on today. We're gonna start with Brian from last week. So this week we're continuing our conversation on internet lead conversion, and really internet lead conversion is just a version of lead conversion, right? I mean, lead conversion isn't always just internet anymore. To me, at least when we had our brokerage and built our systems out, we did all of our leads, regardless of where they came from, still went into the same process in our lead conversion processes. I did open house leads. They all went into the same thing. Everybody got set up on listing updates like we talked about last week, etc. So let's go ahead and start with Brian and we'll go from there.
All right. Good morning, everybody. And Ross, nice to meet you. So I actually started training back in 2007 at a brokerage, and we built this program called Converting Leads to Appointments. And at that time, it was built on the floor time sign call version of what was going on back then. So, today, advancing 20 years almost, virtually everything that comes in now is going to be, through your smartphone, through the internet, through some sort of digital opportunity. And what that did was it didn't change the landscape of converting leads. It's still a skill. You still need to know how to convert somebody. I like to take it one step further. I say it's taking an opportunity, because that's what it really is. It's just an opportunity in front of you. Now that you've identified it as an opportunity, now are you able to turn that opportunity into a lead? And a lead is a relationship. A lead is somebody who will respond to you. A lead is somebody who will interact with you. So if you go one step further back in the buckets, these are just opportunities. So here's what I know, and there's a question on. I just renewed my license for the 10th time, so I'm coming into 40 years of real estate, and this question was not on this test a long time ago. And what it was is, people today, the public, have more information than you and I do about the property. Believe it or not, that is a question that was answered on the exam from the state. So what does that mean? That means this: internet leads are people who already know a lot about the property. They already know the price most of the time. They're not calling on a sign call saying, hey, I just want to know the price, because that's just an objection you can handle differently. But now they're calling on leads that these opportunities are. What you want to try to do is find out what was it about that property that they actually clicked on it to find out more about, when everything is in front of them. They don't need to know the room sizes. They don't need to know what the school district is. They don't need to know a lot of the things that people really want to know when they're driving neighborhoods and talk on a sign. So how you convert an internet lead is just a different skill set. And it starts with confirming you have valid information of somebody who does want to interact with you. Because if you don't do that first, most of these are scams. Most of them are coming from different areas. They're not going to, somebody pops up and says, hey, I want to know if you have RV parking on your new listing on 123 Johnson Street. And I'm like, who are you? Why don't you introduce yourself? So I don't go quickly into answering questions. I go into quickly seeing if I can build a relationship with the opportunity by saying, hey, thanks for reaching out to me. This is Brian. You found me. Let me know you get my follow-up okay. And I leave it at that. I don't give them anything, because if they're not going to interact with me, then they're a waste of my time. That's just my personal opinion. So if your leads are automatically responded to, which there are auto responders, then there's a Google Doc that just says, hey, you know, what's the easiest way for me to get a hold of you? What's the easiest way for me to follow up with you? Because I validly want to help you. You don't know how much I want to help you until you know how much I want to help you. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to help you. And I'm not going to do malpractice like every other realtor out there and just give you what you asked for so you can continue on down the road of the American nightmare, not the American dream experience. So that's really what I want to, you know, just kind of point out here is internet leads know that they know more than you about the property, even if it's your own listing. What they're really looking for is to engage with something that they saw on the internet about that property. Typically, it's a picture. Typically, not always. They want to know something about the property they cannot see. And what is that they cannot see from doing their own homework? They're going to Google it. They're going to look at it from space. They're going to do the drive-by. They're going to do the street analysis. They're going to do all these things. So there's going to be something in there that's very specific that only you, not a Zillow lead agent, because a Zillow lead agent can't find out anything about the property until they do call us. So we want these leads to come directly to us. And when they do, you know, we just need to be the professional and say, hey, you know, what was it about my listing that really interested you most? But I want to make sure that, number one, when I get the lead, you respond fast. That's another thing. That was even a question on the test. They need to be responded to quickly within 5 minutes. We all know that. We've heard that a lot. Respond quickly, but engage quickly that you heard them. You see them, you saw them, and now you want to try to take them from an opportunity into what is a lead. What is a lead for all of us? It's a relationship. It's somebody that we'll interact with. And then maybe we'll set an appointment based upon that. That could be 2 or 3 steps. But for those agents who get in their car and run out and show a property to a stranger right off the bat and they get there, they typically find out something that they wish they knew long ago. And it's a lot of times that the buyer isn't even qualified to see this particular property. So that's where I'm gonna hand it off. But I hope that helps. You know, it's like really dive in that these people do know a lot, and don't just assume that you should just jump in the car and run out there and show them property thinking that that's what you need to do. I understand that. I used to do that. I do that in the luxury market a little more freely than I do in the areas of, you know, first-time home buyers, because I just don't know. But even in the luxury market, I've been burned. And when you get burned, you just say, I'll never do that again. That's just a business choice. I'll never do that. I won't drive from Del Mar to the furthest depths of the Covenant and Rancho Santa Fe and get permission to show a house. It takes me 20 minutes to light it up and get it all ready and be there for them. And then they get there and then they love it. And then they tell you, okay, so now I want to tell you how I'm going to pay for it. You know, I inherited a Ming vase and I just need to sell this Ming vase. You know, I had that. That's a real person that he set me on the stairs. He loved the house. He said, Brian, I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to pay cash. I just need to sell a Ming vase that I inherited. And I'm like, really? Awesome. All right. Let's walk around together and turn all the lights off that took me 20 minutes to get this house ready for you, you know? So when you do that enough, you realize that, hey, that experience was just as harmful for him than it was for me and for the seller, right? It was harmful for everybody because we should have had that meeting long before we went to the house, but having it in the house was just you know, one of those. And for those of you who know Southern California showings and big real estate deals, that was called a llama. The listing agent must accompany. So we had to be there to show up for the seller. And we showed the seller's house to somebody who wasn't in a position to even walk through the front door, you know, and that's harmful for everybody. So I'll leave it at that.
Cool.
Oh my
Awesome.
God, the breath of 100,000 llamas. I like that. The llama. Why don't we go over to Ross the boss?
Yep.
Ross the boss, how are you qualifying people, and especially on leads? I mean, what's kind of your process?
Hey, what's up, Pete? Good to see you, man. Hey, so when it comes to qualifying leads, I love that question. I was just at my $3 million listing in Palm Springs, and a Redfin agent really didn't perform any qualifications, and they brought a homeless person into the house, and she actually followed up with me thinking she bought it with her Bitcoin afterwards. So it's always fun to get those stories and have those experiences, right? But it's never fun to report back to your sellers what you're working with there when you're not qualifying property. So
Yeah, we call that monopoly money people.
Exactly.
So.
That's it. Cool. Well, I'm Ross. I'm out in Palm Springs, California, and I run a Zillow playbook. I have a flex program out here and starting a team out in San Diego also. And what we do when we're meeting people, no matter what lead variety that we're using, we're just asking simple probing questions. And then we find out that people like to talk about themselves. And when you just ask simple questions and you stay in directive of the conversation, that's when you start to find out like they need to sell that Ming vase, or hey, I got $3 million in the bank, because people like to tell you what they have. So after setting the appointment, that's the first thing we go for. So once we're connected with someone, we're always trying to meet them at the property. And if they can't meet at the property, if they're not local, then we're going into, hey, can we do a virtual tour for you? So we're always trying to get to the property and set that appointment first. And then whether or not we're going to extend out with that appointment follows with these other questions like, hey, so what interested you about this house? And that gives you the opportunity to start answering the questions that we probably don't know, but we can write down and address while we're at the property with them. We're all about building rapport. And then when you find out what's interesting about the house, you ask them, so what is your motivation to buy out here? Are you moving here full time? It is a second home, investment. And that's when I really get the financing piece from people, because they tell me, oh, well, I just sold my house in Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And last year I sold my flat in New York. So I'm looking to buy something cash. Or it's like, hey, I have to move here. My son's going to high school here now, and I'm looking to get an FHA loan. So that's when people start unraveling and telling you exactly what their process is going to be to purchase a home. So just with that simple ALM method, appointment, location, and motivation, we're finding that people are just going to give you the full boat, and then you're comfortable meeting them at a place and developing rapport from there. So that's the way we start off all of our conversations and all of our probing.
You're on mute there, Pete.
Love that. I think that's great. I like the ALM acronym. I think that's easy to remember. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Yeah.
You know, I think in this day and age and in these markets, you guys, you have to find people who are motivated, right? Most people are motivated by the 4 Ds: death, divorce, debt, or destination, right? And you have to look at it and say, how motivated are they? How prepared are they? Where are they in their journey? You have to ask a lot of open-ended probing questions. Otherwise, you might as well work for Uber or Lyft, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you're going to be a driver just driving people around who may not be that motivated or just may be curious, right? But somebody doesn't walk on the lot if they're not looking to do something. So I think you have to dig deep and find that. I love that, Ross. Ross the Boss from Palm Springs making it happen. I want to move from Ross the Boss over to Karina, who is the rose amongst all the thorns today. I wanted to get your take on how you're qualifying and finding motivated people off your leads to buy, sell, and invest.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. So with leads, I found there's a couple different ways that I run them. It depends on how the leads are coming into me. If I'm running them through like a simple texting and they're coming through text, I run my qualifications differently through the texting than I do like if they come in through an email or through another type of advertisement that I'm doing. So if they're coming in via like an email, and then I have to actually reach out, and I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them, but I give them one chance for a phone call. And if I go to voicemail, I hang up and I call it one more time. So they realize that maybe, hey, this isn't a bot calling me. And I can usually get a pretty high rate of people answering the phone if I do it that way. So if they don't pick up the first time, I literally hang up and dial them right back again. So they see my number popping in twice. And then the curiosity kills the cat. And then I like to talk to them about, hey, I'm replying back to what you just wrote in on, that you're interested in 123 Main Street. What makes you interested in 123 Main Street? And just like Ross and Brian, I'm starting to build a rapport at that point, trying to find out what their motivations are. So they may tell me that they're relocating to the Space Coast because they're working for one of the for Blue Origin. And so when are you moving here? When you have to move here? Or if they're, whatever the situation is, I'm just asking questions. Have you bought a house before? have you been pre-qualified yet? You know, just normal buying questions. And most of the time through the conversation, I let them know that, look, I don't want to waste your time or my time. And so I just want to ask you a few questions to see if this is like something that you really want to start doing a deep dive on, or if this is more like you have a question about just the house. And a lot of times you'll find out really quickly that it's, you know, they're just tire kickers. And then you can kind of say, well, would you like me to put you on a drip search campaign? And I'll put them in. I don't want to lose anybody, even if they're just looky-loos right now, because next month something might change in their life. So now I have that contact. I don't want to lose it if I know it's a real human being that is actually a potential customer. And so that's one way I do it. If I get a text, if I'm doing through like simple texting or other programs that I use, I don't call them. I'm going to tell you, I don't want to hear from a cold call salesperson. And I definitely don't want, I know they don't, Joe Public doesn't want it either. So most people, my biggest results I get is through pure texting back and forth with the other side until we get to the point where we can get them on the phone. So there's about 20 questions that I'm asking them. You know, I ask them, the first thing I ask them is, hey, I'm responding to your text. You're interested in 123 Main Street. And then again, why are you interested in 123 Main Street? What caught your eye? Are you moving anytime soon? Like I wait for them to respond and then I come up with I send them the next question. Are you moving here soon? Are you a local? Where are you located? And people tend to tell me way more. I get them to pretty much unload on me anyways on the phone, but they tell me everything via text. For whatever reason, it's just the way they want to communicate. Most people don't want to be on the phone. They want to be texting, right? So just look around you when you're out and about. Everyone's got their hands and, you know, texting and nobody's talking to anybody. So the texting part, I really like because I can flush a lot of things out very quickly. And then once I see that we've got like a rapport rolling pretty quickly, I always send them, I want to validate myself to them, but without selling myself. So I'll tell them, hey, just so you know, I'm a real person and not a bot. I tell them I have feelings. That usually gets a little humor out of them. And then I tell them, please go look at a couple of my social pages and I'd like to get on the phone with you. Can we get on the phone now or can we set up a time for later? And most of the time I can get them on the phone right then and there. But I want them to have those links to a couple of the social pages. So that way they can be looking at that at the same time and going, okay, I'm with a top agent. I want to talk to this girl for sure. And I'm able to convert them very quickly that way.
Love that. I think that's super important. I mean, asking open-ended questions, really digging on what their time frame is and all those types of things. You know, it's super important, you guys. You can't just be an order taker where you're bringing somebody in and you're looking at what they're looking at. Of course, they're hot to trot because they're looking at something online, but you have to also ask the question, are there other properties that are interesting you? I can set those up too. You have to make sure that they understand how the real estate game works because a lot of them don't understand that. But that was great stuff, Karina. Thank you so much. I want to go to my man who's always wearing sunscreen, Cam Smith, the legend down there in Florida. Cam, what are you guys doing to qualify and really find motivated people off internet leads or other leads coming in? What's your process?
Yeah, great question, guys. So good morning, everyone. Ross, welcome to the top producer panel, man. It's good that you're here. So welcome first off. So we're going to kind of deep dive a little bit more than what we talked about last week. I have kind of 3 points I want to bring up. The first thing, this is the most important things with any type of conversating with clients or prospective clients is your mindset going into that call is going to be key, you guys. That client doesn't know if you just had the shittiest call in your life and someone yelled at you and hung up on, they don't know, they don't care. So you need to make sure that every time that you pick up the phone and you dial a number, you're smiling. You know, obviously I have 2 stand-up desks here, so I like to stand up. It gets more energy, but make sure that you're smiling, that you're ready to present your best self on every single call because your clients, they feel it, they hear it, and they can quickly distinguish someone that is genuine, that's coming from value versus someone that's maybe just doing it because they have to make their 40 calls a day. So mindset's going to be absolute key. The second part is that when you conversate with anybody, and this internet leads to, telling is not selling, right? So you cannot tell them that's not how we sell here. That's not how that works. We need to really ask more questions. And when you are asking more questions, you're going to be able to find their motivation. And that's what this all boils down to as our markets continue to shift more into a traditional market. Motivation is key. And it is just going to turn back into more of a numbers game where you're going to have to go through more people to find the motivated cream of the crop that are going to be buying and selling, you know, in the next 30 to 90 days. So make sure that when you're doing this, you're always coming in with a positive mindset. You're always asking questions. You're never trying to sell them. You're not trying to tell them. You are just here to offer your services and provide as much value as you can. And to do that, speed to lead is key. So if you do have, we were actually just before that here, we were just on our Monday accountability call for our group, and our team that's currently one of the top teams in the entire state of Georgia. They were telling us exactly what they're doing with their Zillow, and they have like over 100 grand they're spending a month on internet leads. And I said, well, what exactly are you doing to convert those leads right into ready to able buyers, right? And they said speed to lead is key. You want to still get a hold of them if possible while they're still on your website. It's really important. If you can see that thing pop up and you can text them, or you can have an agent or a team member reach out to them within that first 5 minutes, the conversion rate goes way up. And the goal of that is to connect with them and confirm that you can answer all of their questions without them. Like Karina was saying, they have more information than they know what to do with before they go off and try to find someone else to find that info or to go search that info. You want to be the provider of value to answer all of their questions immediately. And that way you can build that experience, or you can build that perception of being the market expert and the person that they want to work with. So speed to lead, we always do, like I said last week, that initial text. Hey, it's Cam Smith. I just saw you were on my website. I wanted to make sure you didn't have any questions. I'm actually available right now. Give me a call. And then what I do is 30 seconds later, I actually pick up the phone and call them. But by them seeing your face and seeing your phone number come up, they pick up that phone call at much higher rates. We've seen it. Traditional leads are like 3% pick up. You do this and we're getting, 10, 15, 20% of the people are picking up, which is significantly higher for us. Next part is always have a direction that you want to go with the conversation. You have to have purpose, right? We're reaching out to people, but you need to have a direction that the conversation would go if it's an ideal circumstance. And typically for us, that is getting face-to-face. We have to get face-to-face with these people. And once you do that, you have a much, much higher chance of retaining that client and then obviously turning them into someone that wants to work with you. And you can do that either by meeting them at the property. Ross, you're doing just almost exactly what we're doing, trying to get in front of them either at the property or at an office, if you guys have a local office, or at a Regis suite or at a coffee shop, whatever it may be. But getting down and sitting down with them, it gives you that option of answering more questions, providing more value, listening. That was the other part that I missed, you guys. We need to listen twice, or really about 4 times more than we speak. So when you're talking with clients, you ask them a question and you just shut up. Just don't talk. And if there's a 2 or 3 seconds of silence where they're thinking, just let them be. They're going to answer that question and they're going to go way further on than if you cut them off and you say, oh, no, shh, quiet. That is a art of experience, you guys. And if you're new and you're just starting to prospect more leads, the art of listening and the art of being quiet allows there to be more exploration and conversation without you having to ask more. So make sure that you're listening twice as much as you're talking. And then, like I said, the goal of the conversation for us should be to get face to face. And the question that we're asking to do that, right? And this is the script is, well, after you build a little bit of rapport, you're having conversations, you learn about their kids, their dog, their situation. Well, when do you want to go out and see the property? Quiet. Easy question, you guys. When do you want to go out and see the property? That is a close that gives them the ability to see the property. It allows you to connect face to face. And then what we've been doing, you guys, and this is the secret sauce, so I hope everyone writes this down. We're bringing a junior mortgage broker or loan officer out with us to these showings so that we can pre-qualify them with us. Also, it allows the mortgage broker that's currently not busy at all, literally they're begging for business, to be able to interact with another client. So we're bringing more value. No one else is doing that right now, where they're actually connecting buyers and we're educating. They don't have to use them. The mortgage broker knows that it's not guaranteed, but I'm going to tell you guys, they all do. They all want to work with someone that's put up a little bit of skin in the game. They've already put up their time, and people absolutely love that. We're also doing that at our open houses too. Again, it's just another unbelievable thing that you can provide. And it's been working really well. So I really like those things. But you guys, it's not about telling. You're not telling them. You're never going to force someone to buy or sell, especially as the markets continue to change. So really start asking those questions. If you don't know what to ask, right? So you're in a mid conversation. You're not trying to drive the conversation. You're just conversating. But it gets to that point where like, oh shoot, what do I say? The acronym I always use. I love Ross. I love that one you used. We always use FORD, which is family, right? Ask them about their family. Ask them about where they grew up. Ask them about their kids. All of that. Occupation. Tell us about your job. Tell us about what you did before, right? So it's FORD, family, occupation. The third one is recreation. What do you do for fun? You know, what is it? What are you passionate about? You know, Mitch is the guitar every minute I see him, he's strumming on that guitar. So you ask them about their recreation. And then the big one, and this is the number one script I use when I call internet leads, is your dreams, right? FORD, family, occupation, recreation, and D is dreams. And that's that's the question I ask is when I first call a lead and we're kind of building rapport, I say, you know, so-and-so, tell me what is your fantasy of moving down here? Tell me those dreams that you have, and then quiet. And you guys, you'll have a 20-minute call where that's all you ask. Just what are their dreams? What is that Florida fantasy that they have? And when you ask those questions and you kind of break it down like that, it allows you to build rapport. It allows any conversation that you're in with anybody to continue going down a positive path. And then, like I said, when you have a structured direction that you want to take all of your conversations, it's really easy. It just kind of naturally builds up together. With practice, with experience, you guys, you'll be able to absolutely crush it. So great stuff. And I think we're doing a lot of the same that Ross is doing of just trying to get face to face.
Love that. Great stuff. I love the FORD. I think that was really dynamite. I'm going to go from Cam over Dave Lawson, the luxury expert in Park City. He's off the slopes. He got the memo. Look at, he's wearing the EXP luxury shirt like I am. Wow. Dave, what's your process? What do you guys do with communicating with leads, and just walk me through that process and walk everybody else through and give them the tips to really convert leads, whether they're cold, they're coming internet, or they're coming off a sign call, whatever it is. What's your process?
Well, I was trained 25 years ago to pre-qualify everybody, and with Zillow, and great to see you, Ross. It was nice meeting you at the San Diego event. So Ross and I are both Zillow Flex partners, and Zillow does this massive amount of research, and they're telling us some of the things to help us convert. And basically what they have taught us, and I can tell you that it works, and it works like magically, is that, well, first of all, 70% of the agents, 70% of the clients use the first agent that they get in front of, that they meet, right? And so if you know that, you know, Mitch likes baseball, right? So do I. I played a lot of baseball, right? Mitch, if you played baseball and you got a at bat and you hit 7 out of 10, you would not be on this call. You'd be the best baseball player in the world, right? So if you have 10 chances and 7 of them, if you meet them, then you will be able to actually get in front of them and get them to use you. And so essentially, what we've done is we have completely changed everything about one focus. And Cam said it. What's the most important thing, Cam? Get in front of the client, right? So we just have a script. Ross, does this sound familiar? Hey, Ross, this is David Lawson, your local Zillow Premier agent with the Lawson team at EXP. I see you're interested in 123 Main Street. That's a great property right near Old Town. When would you like to see it? I have some time today at 4 or after 6. What's better for you? Okay, great. I will confirm the appointment via text as soon as we hang up. And again, my name is David Lawson. While I have you on the phone, tell me, what is it that caught your eye about this property? Well, I like this, that, and the other thing. And then I repeat back, oh, you like this, that, and the other thing? Fantastic. Or is there anything else that's important to you? Well, I also like the blah, 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 right? Oh, the blah, blah, blah. Is there anything else I missed? right? And then they tell you, right? And then I say, are there any other properties that you would like to see? And I say, you know, because not only we have we're on the MLS, but we have right now, as of this morning, we have 93 properties in our quiet sell and off market program. And once I understand what you're looking for, we could potentially match you up to something that nobody else knows about, right? And the other thing is, I might have something in my back pocket. So does anybody want to know what that means, right? So that's getting them. And then we move on to saying something like, okay, fantastic. Again, my name is David Lawson, and I'm going to send you the text with my contact information as soon as I get over. I'm going to confirm the appointment that we're going to meet at 6:30 tonight. And also, if you have any questions or anything that you want or that you need, I'm your guy, right? And then we do it. And then as soon as I get off the phone, I'm like, hey, Ross, David Lawson here with the Lawson team. Check this out. Look at the view we have of the ski resorts. It's been snowing. Man, it's so awesome here. I can't wait to meet you today at 6:30. Just wanted to put a face to the name and just say hello. And I just want you to know I'm here to help you in everything I can show you and we're going to take care of you through white glove service, whatever, right? And then you send them the video. And the thing is it has transformed our business and it has increased our conversion. And it doesn't matter if it's a regular lead or not. So I'm going to give you an example. Last night, I get a phone call on one of our leads. I'm sorry, on one of our listings. And it's just a sign call. And then we start talking to them and I can tell they have interest in the home, but they were like, and you know, I couldn't help myself because I'm teaching my agents, don't ask the question, are you working with another agent? But I'm so ingrained, I still asked. And then they gave me kind of a lukewarm, yeah, I am working with somebody. But because I teach my agents and the people in my organization to always get in front of them, we still made the decision because it's our policy to get in front of people. 7 out of 10, Mitch, that's pretty good, you know, odds, right? And so we got in front of them and sure enough, they're working with our lender this morning. We're trying to write an offer and, you know, we're going to double end a $1.1 million house, which, you know, that's a pretty good house, but that's not in Park City. It's in kind of the outskirts. And so if you change, because, you know, lots of us that have been around, we've been trained to do a lot of pre-qualifying. And I can just tell you from these leads. Now, I'm also in Park City. There's not one person that needs to buy a house in Park City, Utah. It's a ski resort, right? Our lowest price home really starts in the 1.2, 3, 4 million. So we're a little jaded because we're in a different world. So if somebody calls me and they want to go see a property there, they're generally pretty invested, right? Now, we also have Salt Lake market. And when we do Salt Lake, then I got to tell you, if you're in the lower and you're working with more first-time buyers, you got to change up a little bit. But anyway, that's basically what I wanted to share because and we do it and we use it and, you know, it works. It truly works. So thanks, everybody.
I love that. Great stuff, Dave. That's dynamite. Let's go to my Philly brother from another mother, Craig Lurch, otherwise known as the real estate opportunity guy. He likes to refer to himself as the real estate old guy. I don't think he's that old. I think he looks fantastic, but he's a wealth of knowledge. Lurchy, let me ask you this. So when people are reaching out to you directly and they're coming in off a sign call or they're coming in off a flyer or an open house or a follow-up, what's your procedure? How do you How do you convert them? How do you get them in front of you so that you're qualifying or do a strategy session to get them what they're looking for?
We just take them by the neck and drag them in. No, I'm kidding you. Well, just come here, you. Nah, you know what? All of us have little different techniques. The biggest thing is be you. Be unique in what you're doing. Take what Cam's saying. Take what David's saying. What Ross is. And by the way, Ross, welcome. Great to see you on here. Take what Karina says. We're all different, and that's what's going to make you stand out in the market. And I say this all the time. My number one thing I always ask them, somebody calls on the line, and the first thing is, oh, I'm calling about this house. First thing I always say is, so what's changed in your life in the past 24 hours to make you want to call on this house? It throws them, it distracts them, it takes them out of their mindset that every other agent just throws up on them and starts saying all this stuff. Great. So what has it made that has you wanting to know about this house? Or what are the things about it that made you want to call me? I'm trying to get them to open up something and get them to go a different direction than other just okay, are you working with a realtor? Have you been pre-qualified? You know, do you want to go out and see a house? I want to distract them and I want to throw them off. That's how I do it. I use different dialogues all the time, depending on the personality and how I hear the phone call coming across. Exactly the same thing David did and what Cam does. I know most everybody here. The second I leave somebody a message, I send a video. Absolutely, positively. Introducing yourself, thanking them. Because remember something, if you're living in curiosity, we're using 2 ears and 1 mouth as in proportion, as Cam was saying. The difference is this person might not be buying now, but if you wow them in service, they might have somebody they talk about you to. Perfect example. I had a young girl who had horrible credit, and I volunteered to help her, got her to her credit person to get her credit fixed. But in that process, she ended up talking to her grandmother about it. And the grandmother called me and said, by the way, I got to let you know, thank you for taking care of my granddaughter. I said, it's my pleasure. I said, look, I live in abundance. I don't live in fear. I live in, you know, she might know somebody someday. She goes, I'm that person. I was like, really? Tell me more. She goes, I have a home. I looked it up. We ended up selling the home for $1 million. But she was directly connected to this person that wasn't now, because we lived in an it's my pleasure attitude, like the Ritz-Carlton, ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Don't be like everybody else. Be in the abundant. Let the person pull out in front of you in the parking lot. Hold the door for guys, ladies, whoever else you want to do, and it will come back to you. I know it sounds simple, but get into the curiosity of what they want, and there's a ton of people behind them. There was a lady that called me about a barn earlier that we have, that's on a property that we have for rent for a client of mine. I don't do rentals. But guess what I already did? She left me her name. I found her in our ADRs. We've already sent her a thank you. Even though she's not going to do anything, she just wanted to know whether they would rent it. Get their information and kill them with something. We send them lottery tickets. We send them our light up pens. Do something nobody else is. I know she's going to tell people about it. And that's at 70%, the 42% of the people don't call. All these numbers are huge. Do something different and distract them, and you're going to build a client for life. It may not be the answer you want, Pete, but that's exactly what I do. I just point blank say, why are we having this conversation? What happened to you in the past 24 hours that all of a sudden you want to do one of the most stressful things in life, buy or sell a house? And all of a sudden they're like, oof, it works. I don't know. Worked for 34 years.
Yeah, it works. Well, look, I'd call you because you sent me a gift certificate for an Angelo's cheesesteak. Of course I'd call you.
There you go.
Right?
And by the way, buy stuff.
So I think
buy tons and tons of lottery tickets and give them away all day long with your business.
all day long. I love that. That's people love that, and they love scratching them, and it keeps you top of mind. And you have to send them something. Right?
Yeah.
Always send them something. I think that's key. Go ahead, Cam.
Pete, really cool thing about the scratch offs is you can actually leave your information on the back. You put your name, your phone number, and your email. You just sign your name right on the back, and then you can give those away. So if they win, they got to call you because you've sent. No, I'm just kidding. But the thing, guys, is Dave, one of the things you said that was really important that I missed out on is always repeat back what people say to you. When you're having an initial conversation with a lead, you guys, and they say, I'm thinking this, you say, so you're thinking that, is that what I heard? And they say, yeah, that's, and sometimes they'll even expand more on it, right? It allows that conversation to keep going, and it's natural just because you're repeating back what they're saying. The second amazing part of that, you guys, is it gives you time to think. Because sometimes you're going to get a curveball where you don't know exactly where to go, or you don't know what to say. But by repeating it back to them, doing that, listening a little bit, letting that conversation just sit for a second, you're going to be able to find the direction you want to go. You'll be able to lead them down the path you want to go, because you'll go, I know what I want to say now, because you had that extra, 2.5, 3 seconds. Also, you guys, use their name. I use people's name so much when I talk to them. It's almost awkward. It's like, hey, Yanush, it's great to talk to you, Yanush. I'm really excited. The guy I knew was talking about yesterday was Yanush, right? And I'm over and over and over and over and over. It just allows them to know that you're connecting with them. But Craig, I love the lottery tickets, man. I'm going to do that.
Dude,
Yeah.
everybody. But here's something also. Look, I speak Philly and Philinese with my hands. All right. I always ask if I think it's like Anush. I was calling somebody totally different. Like in Philly, there's all these different twangs and names. Ask point blank, how do you pronounce your name correctly so I do not make a mistake or disrespect you? Ask, because now all of a sudden
I've already asked Karina that like 4 times.
Actually, I use that to my advantage, because I always say, people always like mess my name up. So I don't mess yours up. My name's pronounced Karina. How do you pronounce yours? And it's really easy for me to slide that way.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's go to the godfather of online leads, Mitch Ribak, my brother from another mother. Mitch, I mean, you're putting in stats and data and all types of things on callbacks. Give me your process and share with these guys what they can do, because I was blown away. You told me you sold a house to somebody last year that first contacted you in like 1998 or 2008 or something crazy. Tell me your process.
2009. So, and a lot of it's been said, and we talked about a lot about this last week, so I'm going to paraphrase most of this. Keep it simple. If you get a lead, call them as soon as you can. Simple, right? I'm not a fan of text, so I know everybody, a lot of people are saying text, but when we did our numbers, we found out if you call 4 times over 8 days on an inquiry lead, right, that you are going to get a hold of 65% or more. If you text, you immediately let them know that that it's you, and the contact rate is generally 35%. These are national numbers, by the way. Some people, there's outliers. I'm sure Cam has like a 225% capture rate on contact rate on these, but every single lead has to get set up. And I don't care where we get these leads from, by the way. This is process for internet leads, open house leads, everything. Every single lead has to get set up in a listing update system immediately. So what I hear from a lot of agents is, well, when I get a hold of them, I'll do that because I don't want to send the wrong thing. It's not about the content, it's about the contact. Right? Why are people going to use you as a realtor? It's across the board, because you're in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. There's no other reason. I know you all think you're all special and all that stuff, but they know 80 of us, we're like cockroaches. We're everywhere. How many realtors are in San Diego? 30,000 realtors in San Diego, something like that, right? And that's not even counting the other 10,000 in Palm Springs. So make sure you set every single lead you get up a listing update, because the chances are you may not get a hold of everybody. One of my interesting stats that I love, and by the way, let me just give you a background on the stats where all this came from, because a lot of people may not understand this. So first, I generated for my company, even my team, when I had my team, 1,000 to 1,500 leads every month, and we perfected our systems to that. We had an ISA company where we were averaging 10 to 15,000 leads per month, and we tracked everything. So these stats that I'm speaking are out of calling hundreds of thousands of leads, not just calling a couple of leads. So the reason why you set them up in listing updates, like I said, is to make sure that everybody is getting something from you. And we do those listing updates broadly. So if they're looking for a $400,000 house, they're going to get listings between $300,000 and $500,000.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And I set the expectation in the email, just so you know, I set you up with a little broader search so you can see what the market's doing here. No one's ever said, "Oh no, don't do that." Right? Understand patience. Uh, Most leads, unless they're property inquiries, a little more urgency to them, like the Zillow leads that Ross does. But most leads are not buying right away. In fact, the stat on a lead, a registration lead is 233 days. That's the average time frame for someone who buys. And like Pete said, I've had leads from literally reaching out to us now from 2008, 9, and 10. So it just never stops as long as you're in the system and following up. If they're always getting listings in front of you, in front of them from you, they're going to do that. Um, and then based on the, and there's so much more. I mean, it's not a 5 minute spiel here on lead conversion, but having specific groups so you don't lose track of your customers is really important. We talked about that a little bit last week. Make sure you're putting them in specific groups, high end leads, people that you showed property to, people that are low end leads, so you're not wasting your time calling them. Right? You don't want to chase low end leads. Almost all of them can't get qualified anyways. Um, you still want to call them first because a lot of people say I'm looking for a house at under $100,000. Just put that in the search, but they're qualified for $1 million, so you never know. And then everybody has to go into a callback time frame. When are you calling them back? My rule of thumb on this, and I'll say it as slowly as a Boston guy can say it, is if they're calling in a year or more, if they're buying in a year or more, we call them every 2 months. When they get down to 6 months, we call them every 6 weeks. When they get down to 3 months, we call them once a month. When they get down to a month, we're calling as needed. Sometimes once or twice a week, 3 times a week, depends on what's needed. We don't talk about financing until they get a little closer to the process, probably in the 90-day market. I'm not going to get into a whole financial thing with someone that's a year away from buying or 2 years away from buying. That's always the uncomfortable part that people don't like talking about, but you have to go there at some point. But we usually wait till the 90-day mark. Um, and even if I talked to them a year ago and they brought up they're paying cash, things change in a year, and that's it. So it's follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, and keep in front of them. But don't follow up just by email and text. It's a phone call builds the relationship. I mean, I look, I text just like the best of us, but nothing is better than making a phone call. Don't be so quick to get off the phone when you get a hold of someone, right? Become their friend. If they love you by the end of that call, they'll stay loyal to you. But here's the other difference: if you don't call them, it's a mindset shift, right? If you don't call them and they're buying in 6 months or 9 months, they're registering on other sites. Somebody else is going to call them. So if you're not going to make phone calls, which by the way is 80% of you, right? Look in the mirror and have that conversation with yourself. 80% of you are not going to call your leads. You've been doing this for too long. Hire somebody. Hire an ISA. Get together with 3 or 4 different people and share an ISA. Caveat on ISAs, I prefer licensed realtors who are ISAs because now I can give them a smaller base and pay them production based. So all of our ISAs that we always had 3 or 4 ISAs on staff since 2006. We paid them a base of it started out as $16,000, which I mean $1,600 a month. I don't think you can get away with that anymore. Probably closer to $2,000 a month base with 5% of the commission, and they were averaging about $60,000-$70,000 job here in Brevard County. That's a great job. So that's the basics, but the main thing is follow up, follow up, follow up. If you're not going to do it, hire someone to do it because you're just wasting your money, or don't do it. Like just Starbucks is hiring. I shouldn't say that's not nice. But don't if you're not going to run a business, then find someone else to run your business for you. All right. Thanks for shopping, Kmart.
I love it. That was
Hold
great.
on, hold on.
Go ahead, Cam. Cam's
Before
bringing the
we go
heat
too
today.
far, so man, I'm trying, guys. I'm cranking it up. This is I'm ready for 2024. But one thing to remember, guys, too, is ISAs, like Mitch just said, can also be a buyer's agent. So using this incredible platform that we have, you guys, you don't necessarily have to go out and buy an ISA if you can find someone that's hungry that can work your leads on, just like what Mitch was just saying, on a performance system. That's what we're doing, and that's really helped us go from 8-person teams to 12-person teams. Is that we're just looking for those guys that they're ready to take over the world, and they have to. So keep that in mind too, as you can use a team more as an ISA if you find the right team members.
I do want to touch base on that real quick. This is like I feel like I'm in the presidential debate from last night. You suck, Cam. No, I'm sorry. No. So on a small team, it's fairly easy to do that. If you decide to grow, it's almost impossible because here's the nature. it's human nature. Nobody wants to pick up the phone. I mean, even ISAs don't want to pick up the phone, right? And when you start splitting duties, and we did this at first. We actually had, we had a team of 6, and we had our agents calling, and they did okay. As soon as I got to 12, nobody called their leads anymore. To scale it, and to, as a team leader, know that my agents are doing it, I had a lot of peace of mind knowing that my ISAs were calling the leads, and we were calling our ISAs, with dialers, we were calling 500 leads a day per ISA. So we're getting a hold of 100 plus people a day. Your realtors are not going to do that, especially if they're starting to see some success. And more importantly, one other thing with that, Cam, just because this is really important, if your agent is doing 60% or more of their own business, right, on a team model, they will never call your leads. Never call
For
your
sure.
leads. And
For
we
sure.
saw, as soon as they hit 60%, lead conversion dropped from 6%, which is what we average on our registration leads, down to less than 1%. And because they stopped making their phone calls. Again, another reason to hire someone that's going to call your leads. The other part, just one more question, thing on that real quick, is because I know we're out of time here pretty much. But the when you're doing the ISA now manages your entire lead system. You've heard me speak before. I'm all about freedom versus money, right? I'm chasing freedom. If I had 3 ISAs managing 45 agents. I didn't manage my agents. My ISAs managed them because their compensation was directly related to their success. So
That's incredible. And that's, this is so everyone that's watching this, man, you got to remember that we all learn from this panel too. And what Mitch just told me is 100% true, because now a lot of our teams, or a lot of the groups that I'm managing across the state, are about that 12, 15 people, and it's getting harder. Last year, though, I actually was lucky enough to travel out to Dave Lawson's beautiful office there in Park City. And I actually sat in with some of the team meetings that they were doing. And Dave has got it down. He's got it down, obviously. You guys all know. But the way that they're doing it is you have to actually spend a lot of time. Like you were saying, Mitch, you lose that time because you're spending time making sure that your teams are doing the numbers and making the calls and all of that. And that's great. That's great stuff. Because, you got to keep, even though we all like to think we know it all, the truth is none of us know anything, and we learn from one another and we learn from experience. So thank you, Mitch, for sharing that.
I actually do know it all, Kim. Sorry, no kidding. What do we
Absolutely.
got left? We have Matt. We haven't had Matt yet, right?
So we got like 7 minutes left, and I want to leave a little time for people to put in the chat what topics they would like us to address in 2024. But I want to go to Matt Battiata, because he's not bragging, he's just applying for a job. So, Matty, what do you do to convert people when they're calling into you?
Well, there's you guys made so many great points. I'm still sitting here kind of reeling from what David Lawson said, because I, like all of us, have been always trained to always ask, are you working with an agent? But you make a great point, David, which is, the more I've been sitting here thinking about it, we all know that 99% of the agents out there do not sign their clients to an exclusive buyer's agreement, right? So who really cares if they're working with an agent? I guess, because then you can win them over, right? When you meet them at the property.
Matt, do you ask people that? Do you say, hey, if you're working or you've been working with an agent, can I win your business? What do I have to do to earn your business? What do I have to do to win your business?
Are you asking me that or David?
I'm asking you that.
Well, so what I do is I always ask them, are they working with an agent? And then I'll say, are they, did you sign anything with that agent? So and majority of the time they say no. And I say, well, if you want that agent to represent you, you really need to have them show the property. Well, they live in LA, so it's hard, or blah, blah, blah. They live in San Francisco. But the more I think about it, why am I, disqualifying people, right? By asking them that question. Maybe it does make more sense to get in front of them and say, you know what, Brent Gove has a great line when he says, there's no rule that says you can't work with 2. And I'm all about service, and I have lots of pocket listings. And so to me, the biggest thing, like I'm standing up right now. So when I call back leads, I always try to stand up, because you have much more energy when you're standing up. The thing that I think we all forget about is the importance of building rapport, right? So that's one thing, probably, unless you've got a really, really good ISA, that your ISA is not going to do. So I think it's really critical to ask lots of questions, get in a conversation, have lots of energy over the phone. People love to talk about themselves. So that's the importance of asking lots of questions. And then getting out to the property. And what I like to do is once I've met someone and built some rapport with them, I always refer them to whoever my lender is, because a good lender will cross-sell you. And of course, then you actually know that they're qualified and what they qualify for. And then they feel like they're kind of working with a team. So I really like, Cam, what you said about bringing a lender with you to the showing. That's pretty wild. The other thing, I do a lot of the same things everybody said. If I get a voicemail first, I always call back a second time right away. And a lot of times people pick up. I'm always, the minute I get a lead on my phone, I call them always immediately. I don't care if I'm out to dinner. I just call them right away, because like somebody said, they're not just on your site, they're on lots of different sites. So, and I do, unconsciously, I guess, a lot of the things that everybody said, all the questions. And I think it's also critical with buyers who are literally, they don't know anything about you, they're shopping around on the internet, is to have some sort of, be able to offer something that everybody else is not offering. Whatever unique selling proposition it could be. We have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So when you buy a home, if you're not 100% satisfied with it, within 12 months, we'll either buy it back or sell it for free. We have a list of vacant properties where the sellers are super motivated. Whenever I if I'm meeting somebody at a showing for the first time, I always bring something I can give them. Right. So maybe it's a list of other homes in the area. Maybe it's just a brochure on our company or whatever. Very important to bring something with them. And remember, when you meet them, you're on stage, and that's your opportunity to build rapport with them and gain them as a customer. So that was huge, David. I can't believe that they say not to ask, because I still do that every time I ask people if they're working with an agent, and maybe I need to stop.
Well, and okay, so if you've ever heard Brent Gove do his thing about, oh, you have an agent, you guys, you have to learn that. But here's a trick and thing that we do. So Matt, do you have an agent? Yeah, you say yes. And
yeah.
So Matt, are you familiar with the Lawson Team Quiet Selling Off Market program?
No.
No, you're kidding. Can I share it with you?
Yeah.
Well, in addition to looking up properties on the multiple listing service or the MLS like every other agent does, we go over the top to help you find the right property. I mean, we look for recent expireds, old expireds, withdrawn or canceled listings for sell by owners. We're going to talk to the other agents that are doing business in the neighborhood of Jeremy Ranch while you're looking. We're going to share your needs at our sales meeting. We'll even knock on doors, make phone calls, or write letters into the neighborhood. And essentially, Matt, we want to leave no stone uncovered to help you find the property that's best for you and your family. Does this sound something like you'd be interested in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
And then, and if they go, well, but I can't, I have to use Cam Smith. He's my realtor, right? And I say, oh, okay. Well, just ask Cam if he has a quiet selling off market program, because this is a program that helps us get so many people, help people. Sorry, my phone rings. Sorry, gang. But so I lost track. But you see what you can do. First of all, what did I do? I asked you a question. Are you familiar? Second thing, I named it. It's not a quiet sale. It's the Lawson Team Quiet Sale. Nobody can have the Lawson Team Quiet Sale. And then I talked to them about what other agents do versus what we do, right? And essentially, everybody, and you got to get good. And it was hard for me to say, have you heard of this? No, you're kidding. It's like everybody knows about the Lawson Team Quiet Sale. But the thing is, I don't want to make you wrong. So then instantly I said, what? May I share it with you? Because I don't want to make you wrong, right? And then you go over a list, and then you can say, if you know, or if your agent, if you're really close, then ask them if they have it. And then they go to Cam. I'm picking on you, Cam, because we're such good friends, right? He probably has one. So probably that's Joe Agent. Does Joe Agent have a quiet sale and find out if he'll do that. And then if you have a lot of reviews on Zillow, like we have 550 5-star reviews, I say, Matt, and if you can't sleep one night, go to Zillow, go to the Lawson team, and you can actually look at and read the 554 5-star reviews that we have. And you're going to find one thing. The vast majority of the people are saying they worked with us and loved us, gave us a great review because we did so many things over and above and on top of what everybody else does, right? And we have a saying in the timeshare business. It's called, Matt, you got 4 flats. Okay, if you got 4 flat tires in your car, where are you going? You ain't going nowhere, right? I got you. You do this, I got you. All right.
That's awesome. That's great. Let's go over to Brian. He had his hand up for the last 10 minutes. I know he's just enthralled with what Dave said, but go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, no, real quick. I'll do this in like 1 minute. So I don't ask that question. I've never trained to ask that question either, Matt. So I've never asked that question for a reason, because typically it's kryptonite to you and I, because the buyer wants you to know we're working with somebody to take away our superpowers to help them, right? So I don't ask that question. But here's a great question. There's 5 things I want to know. There's 5 things that all of you want to know before you actually meet with a client. And what I did was I wrapped those up into one script, and it sounds like this. Have you sat down, this is any lead, have you had a chance to sit down with a real estate consultant yet to understand what it is a seller is looking for in a buyer in today's market? See, that way, if they've sat down with another realtor, made offers and done things, and that didn't work out very well, they're going to say, well, no, what do you mean? Well, who's a real estate consultant? That's who we are in the opportunity. An opportunity is somebody who needs a consultant to get to the next level. What are the 5 things all of us need to know before we show a property? Hey, are they ready to move in the next 30, 60, 90 days? Do they have a down payment? Is their money seasoned? Is their loan approved? Are they in the loan works? Have they made a wish list? And do they have anybody else who's making decisions with them on this, a co-signer, parents, whatever? If those 5 things don't match up, I don't like to show property. But what I did was I put these in a other way around. I say, hey, a seller wants these 5 things in every buyer before they present an offer. Let's position your offer so the seller will accept you. It's really for me and you. We want to know they're qualified. We want to know they've done everything you want to know. Just wrap that up and say the seller needs this before I can even show their property. Because that way I don't have to go out and show property. I just become a real estate consultant. That's different from an agent. We're agents when we're in the marketplace. We're in consultants setting appointments. That's it.
Love that. That's great stuff. Well, listen, you guys, we're right at 12. This was fire. I hope everybody has a productive weekend. Get out, get belly to belly, go see your clients, hand them, drop them off. You know, the old Irish saying, don't show up with 2 arms, same length, bring them something. Ross, the boss out in Palm Springs, thanks so much. Matt Battiati, he's not bragging, he's just applying for a job. Got Brian Yarber, where he's out of Montana. Luxury Dave Lawson out of Park City. Karina's down there in Florida kicking ass, and Cam's down there too. He's got a lot of sunscreen on. And of course, the legend Mitch Ribak, who is the godfather of online leads. I thank all you guys. Thanks for being on. And listen, do yourself a favor. This is all about production and growing your business. Please share it with other agents and invite them on. Get the link, send it to them. Tell them to get on and ask questions. That's what it's all about. Next week, we want in the chat everybody to show up with one topic that they want for 2024 to have it in the Business Playbook Mastermind. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Guys,
have a good one, guys.
Thanks, guys.